Here. Commissioner Garsavanian, ex officio Jaburian, Commissioner Tashchin, ex officio Yagyayan, and Chair Miller.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Babumian. Next item on the agenda, please.
At 1A is a report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the October 1, 2012 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on or before September 28, 2012. At 2, we have introductions and presentations. And at A, here to talk about the focus for October, which is elder abuse and domestic violence, is the Cal State University Los Angeles Social Work Department. We have Carolyn here. Come on, welcome. Yes.
Tragic and devastating and have consequences that even result in shortened lifespan of those who have been abused as opposed to those elders who have been loved. So it's also the abuser is mainly a family member, which makes it even more complex. And the elder is ashamed, embarrassed, afraid, and so they keep silent about it. They would rather have their, abusing grandson with them than be alone. So it's a very complex situation. The most common, elder abuser is a family member, male, 30 to 40 years old, unemployed, maybe has a little gambling or alcohol problem going for him there, maybe was fired from a job for anger management, and all of a sudden the family gets together and says, well, we need somebody to take care of Grandma, and Johnny here doesn't have a job because he lost it from anger management, so suddenly he's in the caregiving role with Grandma, and he's totally unprepared, overwhelmed. I mean, I've never really taken care of my family members. I was able to have a caregiver, but just if you can imagine trying to take care of somebody's total needs, their clothing, bathing, toileting, feeding, and this is a young man taking care of them, the frustration level, and often the frustration leads to hitting or yelling, and they have totally unprepared for this. And then also what happens often is that, we've kind of, if you probably know yourself, you've seen a lot of entitled young people growing up, and so they feel entitled to Grandma's money and things, and suddenly they have new iPhones and flat screen TVs, and there we go. So and the abuse comes in many forms. It can be physical and sexual, emotional, psychological, and it can come with finances, abusing the finances, and isolation and neglect, and even self-neglect. We call that elder abuse too. And actually, neglect and self-neglect are the most common. And all of these forms of abuse are subject to fines and imprisonment. But I have actually been in the field as a licensed clinical social worker for, I don't even want to tell you how many years. And I have actually never seen anybody prosecuted or pay a fine for this kind of situation. So anyway, how do we look for it? I thought that might be something that you would be interested in knowing. And the physical indicators are, easy. It might be a bruise or a wound that you can see, but sometimes they even, they'll be in under the clothesline so you can't see it. But maybe you touch somebody, you touch, Grandma, and then she flinches, so you know that maybe there's a bruise there. And you look, you see, are their clothes clean? Are they nourished? Are they hydrated? So you could kind of tell if if their clothes are dirty and they're losing weight, that maybe there's a problem going on there. And then behaviorally, they become very afraid, withdrawn. They feel helpless, and they could be angry, and they might not want to talk to anybody because their abusing caregiver said, don't you ever talk to anybody about this or it's even going to be worse for you. So they don't want to talk about it. And also their stories might conflict too. They have bruises all over. Oh, I just tripped over the rug this morning. or, the caregiver shows up with all the, new iPhone, new iPad, and grandma says, well, they're gifts. I gave him a gift for caring for me. So kind of indicators. And then there's financial abuse, a fiduciary abuse, which we call it in the business. And I always kind of like to say fiduciary. It's kind of a fun word to say. Anyway, fiduciary abuse. And that comes with, you could tell if there's, unusual activity in somebody's bank account. And if there's, checks being written and grandma can't write, or, the elder, the signatures don't match. Also, showing up with unusual gifts, another example. And also one thing that Schwarzenegger did when he was governor, he signed a bill that made banks have to report unusual activity in seniors' bank accounts. Before that, you could just wipe grandma out and you wouldn't know anything that had happened. So now they have to report that. So that was a good thing that he did. And also, beware of, that, neighbor that suddenly, becomes attached to the elder, and, they come in and all of a sudden grandma's talking about, changing the will, or making, or change, having become the executor of the finances. So another indicator. So, what do we do about this? How can we prevent this? Well, we look for the signs that I've just shown you. And also either it's in your life or a neighbor's life or a friend's life, and they start talking about a caregiver for their loved one who's in a vulnerable situation. Please have them make sure they hire a reputable person, not the least qualified person in their family who has no place to live and sleeps on the couch all day, and say, well, this will give him something to do. So help them make sure that they hire a reputable person. And in doing that, you have them check references, not just word of mouth, but check some references. And also, you would another problem that leads to abuse is having lack of training. So you want to make sure that the person that is coming in has some training, because I think all of us would not know. I mean, I speak for myself here, but how many of us would be able to care for somebody who was totally bedbound and needed constant care? So that requires some skill. So you want to make sure that they have training or that they get some training. Also, I wanted to just briefly mention that the agency that takes care of elder abuse is called Adult Protective Services, and that if you the law states that if you even suspect, you don't even have to have seen it, but if you suspect it. And I'll talk about mandating reporting in a minute. But if you suspect this, I'm going to give you the phone number of the Elder Abuse Hotline. And that is 877-477-3646. So you would call that phone number, and anything that you say there is anonymous. So even if the person suspects that you reported them, they have no way of knowing because it is absolutely anonymous. And it is a misdemeanor, I think, if they would tell who did that. But they don't. It is anonymous. So you would call up and you would talk to a worker who is hopefully well versed in this field, and you could talk to them. Usually everybody I've had, they're very nice. You could talk to them. Do you think this is worth reporting? And they'll say, oh no, or they'll say yes. And then they will send out a worker. And the worker, would go out and investigate the situation. Oftentimes, though, by the time they get there, the elder will deny it and say that didn't happen. That's false, and then they will close the case. So, Adult Protective Services, they really have no authority to do anything other than go and investigate and advise. Unlike the Department of Children's Services, which is people think it's an equivalent agency, the Department of Children's Service can actually go out and take a child out of a home, and they have the authority to do that, and they often with the police. But But with the elder abuse, because the elder would just deny it, most of the time they deny it and say that it never happened. I mentioned I was going to talk about mandated reporting. I am actually a mandated reporter. Any social worker or anybody in the healthcare field, including physical therapy, occupational therapy, doctor, nurses, anybody in the medical field is a mandated reporter. Police, fire, and teachers are also mandated reporters. And that means that they have to, if they suspect, they don't even have to observe it, but if they suspect, they have to call this number. And then if it is reportable, then they have to file a report either online or send it in through the mail. And but you all here are not, I don't think, if you might be, but if you're not, then I would just advise if you see anything that you think is going on and you're not even sure, you could call up and these people at the Adult Protective Services will talk to you about it, and then they'll say, oh no, don't worry about that, or they'll say, no, we'll send somebody out immediately. So anyway, that's just kind of just a down and brief overview, and I hope that's been helpful to you, and then I wanted to see if there are any questions.
Commissioner Devine?
Carolyn, thank you for coming today. I know that even for a family that's dealing with...
You're what? I'm sorry?
Even with a family, a whole family that's
Yes.
dealing with an elderly family member, it's difficult to take care of them. So I can imagine what it must be for one person, and then, of course, if they have all these other dynamics. Now, you told us who to report this to, but you said Adult Protective Services cannot do anything at that time. What if they don't do anything? Then what is the recourse? What is our recourse?
Unfortunately, I mean, there really is. If the elder, I mean, because they are in their own mind. I mean, they have their own body and mind, and they deny it. There is no recourse. You can just keep your eye on it, and hopefully, but if it becomes worse, then perhaps talk the elder person into letting you help them. But there really isn't any recourse.
Be an advocate for them.
Be an advocate, yes. Be an advocate, and maybe help the family to find a new caregiver, or get more help. So that the person that's caring won't be so frustrated and angry and that kind of thing.
All right, thank you.
It's a very complex and sad situation.
Thank you.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you is if you could provide, I happen to be an occupational therapist, and I work with seniors, but I'm not equipped in the way that I believe the social work profession is to really address these things. So that being said, can you provide a couple of questions that a layperson might ask an elder person, someone like myself who's familiar with the senior population, who's in that environment, but questions that we might ask that aren't on the professional side to get to the heart of perhaps confirming some suspicion?
I don't think there's any one thing that you can ask, but I think if you observe and if you notice that they're fearful and cowering, and if they don't want to talk, and if they only will talk with the caregiver, then those are those are not 100%, but those are good signs to go by. Mm-hmm. But I don't, because see, they're not going to want to talk about it. Shame, embarrassment. Here's a family member who's doing this to me, because it's usually a family member. So I think you just need to really look at just look for the things that I've talked about today, and really be sensitive to how they react to you. Are they afraid of you when you try to do your job with them? And then you would actually, as a therapist, you would probably be a chance to see the bruises more than somebody else would.
And I can also tell you one thing that I might offer to our viewing audience. Although I am a caregiver, but I'm also a daughter, and when my father was being taken care of, one of the things that I noticed, although he wasn't abused and we very much knew who was taking care of him and watching that, I could tell who he liked better than others. And I think just something as simple as that.
Absolutely.
We know our parents best, and we know their likes and dislikes, and if there's a personality change, and just something as simple as how their behavior changes based on who they're around.
Absolutely. That's a very good indicator.
Did you want to add something?
No, I was just going to, the only thing I was going to say is this is domestic violence. It's all the same. The symptoms are the same. The cure is the same. If there is a cure that we can actually talk about or letting authorities know about it, it's the same.
It's the same, yeah. Absolutely.
It's almost like it's up to the victim to step forward
Yes.
and take control of their lives. And unfortunately, when you're elderly, it's a little bit tougher to do than when you're 35.
Right. It's that. I think that's the difference, because they're so vulnerable, and maybe they have lost their voice already. And then how do you help somebody, speak again? So it's a. But I think I'm very happy that I was able to speak today, and I hope a lot of people are listening and they will become more aware of what's going on, maybe in their own family, hopefully not, but in their neighborhood or with friends.
Can you provide the number one more time
Yes.
for our viewing audience that they can call in?
I would love to. That's 877-477-3646. So again, even if you don't even know what you just have a gut feeling, call and talk to one of these workers, and they might, hopefully they'll be able to help you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for letting me talk.
Okay, next item.
At B, we have a special presentation regarding voter awareness, since the elections are next month in November. And with us, we have Joan Hardy, President of the League of Women Voters of Glendale, Burbank. Welcome, Joan.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Miller, Commissioners, and City of Glendale staff. My name is Joan Hardy, and I'm President of the League of Women Voters of Glendale, Burbank. It's with great pleasure to be here today to talk to you about the upcoming November election. Thanks so much for inviting the League. Soon, registered voters will be receiving their voter information pamphlets in the mail, along with their vote-by-mail ballots, if that's how they're registered to vote. Some may have received this information by now, but the County Registrar Office mails out these items between the dates September 27th through October 16th. When you receive your voter information pamphlet, I promise you this year it will be a thick one. The reason why is there are a lot of items to vote for this November election. Let me review with you exactly what we will be voting for. U.S. President and Vice President, U.S. Senator, U.S. Representative, State Senator, Member of the State Assembly, and District Attorney for the County of Los Angeles. There's also 11 propositions and 3 local measures that affect the County of Los Angeles. We encourage voters to look at their voter information and take the time necessary to review it thoroughly. There are many things to consider on this ballot, especially when it comes to the propositions. For instance, there are 3 ballot measures that address taxes. There is one on human trafficking, one on changes to the 3 Strikes Initiative, and one on a topic that we've never seen on the ballot before that addresses genetically modified foods. These propositions and their outcomes will affect us all individually. It will affect our communities as well as our future. So it's important to exercise our right and our responsibility as good citizens to not only vote, but also vote with knowledge. The League encourages the voting process and reminds people that exercising our voting right is also a rewarding experience. The first step to voting is, of course, making sure you are registered. The County Register Office has worked hard to make the register to vote process more accessible. And for the first time, this election in LA County, if you're a LA County person with a current California driver's license, you have an opportunity to register to vote online. Their website is lavote.net. If you need to re-register to vote, remember the reasons that this would need to be done is if you've moved or you've had your change in your name, or if you want to change your political party. Again, this can be done online. Or if you need a voter registration form, one can be printed out online from lavote.net, and forms, of course, are available at the DMV, public libraries, post offices, and city clerk's offices. If you are looking for additional sources of information on candidates and the propositions, there's many ways to find information. There's good information in newspapers, radio, TV programs, as well as election publications. The League of Women Voters prints 2 of those. We have one that's the Easy Voter Guide, and for more in-depth information, we have one called Pro-Con. The League also has several websites that have valuable information. We're really proud of our websites. They are considered some of the most comprehensive and reliable sources of unbiased information for voters on the web. CAVotes.org provides thorough, in-depth information on ballot measures. The homepage of CAVotes.org has a tab that says Voter Toolbox. If you click that tab, you will find all the information you ever wanted to know about the ballot measures. There's lots of it. If you're interested in your specific ballot and who and what you will be voting for, you can go to smartvoter.org. It provides voters with comprehensive, nonpartisan information about the contests on their ballots in an easy-to-use presentation. And it provides a means for the candidates to publish information about themselves and their candidacies directly to the voters. Again, these websites are cavotes.org and smartvoter.org. There is an exciting website that is not the League's, but that I want to mention because many voters like to follow the money when deciding on how to vote for the propositions. Following the money is, of course, revealing in a number of ways, and we have information on our websites as well, but the website called maplight.org is a graphic and chart-oriented website that is constantly being updated with the most current information on campaign contributions and the influence this might have on individual candidates. Also, Maplight is tracking the California propositions and the various contributions received by the yes and no contests. Again, that website is called maplight.org. Locally, our league is busy doing pro-con presentations to various groups. We're hosting a candidate forum for the U.S. congressional seat on October 15th, as well as encouraging and participating in voter registration. We have a website as well, lwvglendaleburbank.org. Please contact us if you're interested in one of our speakers coming out and doing a pro-con presentation. Our membership is open to both men and women, and we're always looking for new members and encouraging people to join our organization and share in the fun and experience you will gain by getting involved in your community. Thanks again for inviting the League to be here to discuss this very important election coming up in November, and remember to vote. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Joan. We all know that's an important election. I just want to put in a plug for Proposition 35. It is CASE, C-A-S-E Act, California Against Sexual Exploitation. It's human trafficking, the penalties, and sex offender registrations. Please read this proposition and vote appropriately. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda?
Or at 3 is oral comment. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Time is limited to an amount to be set by the chair. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report.
And we have one speaker with us today, and that is Alina Der Sarkisian.
Hello. Good afternoon, and thank you for your time today. I'm Alina Der Sarkisian from the Glendale Adventist Medical Center Marketing Department, and I'm proud to be here today to tell you about the Army of Pink campaign, which is an important campaign to help raise awareness about breast cancer and the local resources at Glendale Adventist Medical Center. Breast cancer does not discriminate against men or women. According to the National Cancer Institute, it is estimated that over 200,000 women and over 2,000 men will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year. The Glendale Adventist Medical Center Cancer Center is one of 2 hospitals with Cedars-Sinai in Olivella County to receive the prestigious Outstanding Achievement Award. And the Army of Pink campaign helps select prominent gentlemen in the Glendale community who are committed to raising awareness about breast cancer and educating everyone, young and old, about breast cancer and the local resources at our Outstanding Cancer Center. We want people to know that the best protection against cancer is early detection. So the 6 candidates for the 2012 Army of Pink this year, who are led by our honorary captain, Paula Devine, include Frank Quintero, the Glendale City Mayor, Carl Pavlidis, Captain of the Glendale Police Department, Robert Doyle, Deputy Fire Chief of the Glendale Fire Department, Dr. Richard Sheehan, Superintendent of the Glendale Unified School District, Larry Cavanis, President of the Southern California Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, and Dr. Viken Sapilian, President of the Armenian American Medical Society. Our goal for this campaign, again, is to educate on breast cancer and encourage people to visit glendaleadventist.com/Army of Pink to learn more about breast cancer and the local resources available. We would also like you to go online and vote for your favorite candidate who you believe has done the best job in educating the community on breast cancer and who looks best in pink. Online voting started today on October 1st and will run through October 26th. Again, please visit glendaleadventist.com/Army of Pink to learn more. And now we have a short video to give you a little bit background on our candidates.
I'm here to recruit you for the Army of Pink.
Launched by Glendale Adventist Medical Center to raise awareness about cancer.
If we just had a cure.
I believe in a cure for breast cancer.
I'm asking you to join the Army of Pink. Go to glendaleadventist.com/Army of Pink.
Vote for the Army of Pink. Please join us
in the fight against cancer.
We need your support.
Vote for Deputy Fire Chief Bob Doyle.
Vote for me.
Vote for me, Dr. Viken Sapilian.
Vote for me, Captain Carl Pavlidis.
Give me a break. You know I'm the mayor, right?
Cast your vote for the best candidate in pink.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. I have to say, if I may, Chair Miller, it's an honor to be a part of this campaign, and I hope that we can raise awareness in this community about the early detection and the resources that we have in this community for cancer patients. And I'm very proud to be a part of this. And thank you for being my mentor. You're great. Thank you. You're welcome. And go to that website, glendaleadventist.com/Army of Pink, and watch all the videos, because the videos are adorable. They're very good. Okay, thanks.
And after you watch all the videos, make sure that you vote for Captain Carl Pavlidis.
No, none of that. We're not allowed.
Well, it's the only opportunity I get, and since I do want to let you know that I happen to be his campaign manager, if you wonder where I'm going on that, and a great fan of the police and the fire and all the great men who've joined, but the competition's on and we're having fun with it. I do want to let you know our 2 student ex officios are also on Team Carl, as are a whole host of women in the city of Glendale, so we're pretty excited. And we're happy that Paula is our general leading us through. Okay, any other comments? Next item on the agenda, please, Ms. Babumian.
At 4 is consent items, and A is approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on September 10, 2012.
Are there any changes that the commission would like made to the minutes, or is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Seeing that it's unanimous, we'll go to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. At 5 is our business agenda. Under A, action items, first item is appointment of chair of the 2013 Jewels of Glendale fundraising luncheon, and at A is a motion appointing the chair for the 2013 Jewels of Glendale fundraising luncheon. Chair Miller, would you like a brief report?
Yes, Thank you.
Chair Miller, members of the Commission on the Status of Women's Jewel of Glendale Awards Luncheon is the major fundraising event of the Commission, as we all know, and 2013 marks the 9th anniversary of this event to bring accomplishments of the women in the city of Glendale to light in the community and to raise funds for the various projects of the Commission. For the past 3 years, this event has been held in May. Previously, it was held in March, and it seems to do fairly well and is popular during the month of May. With this report at this time, staff respectfully recommends that the Commission appoint a member to serve as the chair of the event. The chair will work with staff to ensure the proper planning, coordination, and implementation of a successful Jewels event. At the following meeting, perhaps when there's full commission participation, the chair and staff can solicit commissioners to volunteer their efforts in the different subcategories such as sponsorships, advertisements, silent auction, and speakers. And in addition to all this, one thing to keep in mind as we move forward is that the Commission will need to open up nominations for the 2013 Jewels of Glendale Awards Luncheon, and that can also be discussed at the following meeting or at this meeting if you'd like. And once the chair is selected, staff can work with them to look at various dates and venues and bring that back to the Commission for the following meeting as well. That concludes my report. If you have any questions.
So, what we need to do today is to choose a chair for our luncheon.
Yes, or hold it over till the next meeting, however the Commission feels appropriate, but staff thought with timing to bring it forward at this time and to see if it's something that anyone's interested in.
I was thinking that perhaps we should just nominate people who aren't in attendance. That's what we used to do when we were younger. But given the seriousness of this business, we will actually, moving forward, let's open it up for discussion.
Madam Chair, I will volunteer.
Great. And all we need at this point is a chair, correct?
Yes, it's a motion to appoint the chair.
Then may we have a motion on this item to appoint Commissioner Burns as the chair of the 2013 Jewels of Glendale?
I so move.
Okay. And a second.
Do I second or can...
You can second.
You know, on nominating chairs, you don't need one, but nominations don't need a second, so you could just vote on it. That would be appropriate.
Okay.
So, are we all unanimous on this vote? All right, great. Thank you, Commissioner Baboumian Commissioner Burns for agreeing to do that.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda.
Thank you very much. At 2 is consideration and discussion of the proposed themes for the 2013 special focus for the Commission on the Status of Women, and at A is a motion providing direction regarding the proposed themes. A brief report, Chair Miller?
Yes.
The focus for 2013, as decided by the Commission on the Status of Women at the last regular meeting, is the spirit of women. And based on direction provided by the Commission at that meeting, staff collected suggestions for monthly themes from the Commissioners, and this report contains those proposed themes for each month that align with the overarching focus for the year. And the proposed themes are as followed, and I will also have them here for you to see. For January, suggestion is the spirit of determination, rising from poverty in America. February, spirit of innovation, women in engineering and sciences. March, the spirit of a legacy, women making history. April, spirit of a survivor, sexual assault awareness. May, the spirit of leadership, women's leadership. June, the spirit of the earth, gardening for the soul. July, the spirit of the arts, celebrating artistic expression. August, the spirit of an advocate, fighting for women's causes. September, the spirit of perseverance, beating cancer. October, the spirit of strength, domestic violence awareness. November, the spirit of a veteran, supporting women returning from duty. And December, the spirit of a woman, celebrating life to its fullest. As in previous years, once these monthly themes are set and established, nonprofit organizations will be invited to present information at Commission meetings that align with those themes. And these organizations will be organizations that the Commission has worked with on a regular basis, and of course we also strive to find new organizations and bring them to light. That concludes the report, and staff respectfully recommends the Commission provide direction regarding these proposed themes. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to, first off, before we go into discussion, thank the commissioners for providing their input to Ms. Baboumian and ideas on this particular topic that we voted on. We know that we're just in the discussion phase and that this isn't final, and so we do want to open it up for discussion at this point. Any comments? Commissioner Devine.
Thank you. First, I love the whole idea of each month being the spirit of, especially since that was my idea. No, I'm kidding. I have two questions on June and December. They seem a bit wide-ranged, and what is there an idea there of what the focus? I mean, all the other ones are pretty self-explanatory, but gardening for the soul and celebrating life to the fullest, I'm not quite sure where we're going with that. If there's an explanation. Vice Chair or Chair Miller?
Well, I believe that's one that I suggested when we were looking at the spirit of the women. We were talking about beyond just, there are many things that make up a great woman, whether it's the work that she does, the play that she attends to, the family life that she has. And gardening is something that we actually thought about having a speaker perhaps from Descanso Garden come and talk to us about and provide us with some tips. We know that meaningful activities translate to a meaningful life, and that many women, as they're growing older alone, perhaps this is something that would be a great hobby for them. So the attempt in the spirit of the woman was to not make everything quite so serious to our readers, but to really leave them with everyday tips that they could take away and do something with.
And the celebrating life to its fullest?
Was that?
That was Commissioner Devine, Chair Miller, Vice Chair Burns. There's such a small group. That was just a freebie. It was just something. There aren't that many awareness months in December, and so it was just thrown in there as we can invite anyone, come up with ideas that can certainly be replaced today with something a little more specific the Commission would like, but it was just left it vague on purpose to provide some flexibility.
Okay.
Chair Miller.
Yes, Vice Chair.
Are you looking for us to decide today? Is there wiggle room until next month? Next meeting, or do you want this today?
Given that this agenda starts in 2013, there is room, we have time, but if we begin the discussion now on some of these topics, we can always hold it over for a final vote till we have a full commission. Do you have any thoughts as it stands now that you'd like to share?
Not particularly right now, but I think that this is well worth thinking about, and perhaps we haven't had enough time to look at each one individually and think about them on our own before we voted. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that the spirit needs to be quite as dominant, so I'd like to, I really would like more discussion and certainly a vote when we have the full commission, which would be November the 19th.
All right. Well, I think that we have enough topics here that it gives us enough time to really look at and to really come back with our feedback for the Commission and actually make a determination at that time. But again, I just want to thank everybody for providing input, as well as we also received input from our friends on the Pasadena Commission, so we're grateful for them too for providing input as well.
I thought that was terrific, Madam Chair.
Yeah. So, if there are no further comments on this, we will, do I have to make a motion to hold it over, or can I just agree? Okay, we're going to hold this over till the November 19th agenda, and with that, can we have the next item on the agenda?
Just a question for clarification, Chair Miller. Can staff expect to get additional feedback and make revisions to this report based on feedback, or shall we just provide this report as it is next month?
What do you think? What do you want? It doesn't matter to me. Is there any discussion on that matter? Do you want the report to come back, or do you want to provide input throughout the month?
Chair Miller, I would think that if input came to you, it should be considered. If nothing else comes to you, it would be presented as it was.
Fair enough. Thank you.
What would you think of that, Chair Miller?
I am fine with either decision on this, just as long as it moves us forward in the tracking of getting to a theme and allows our staff plenty of time to work on getting speakers. I'm completely fine with the process, how we determine it. All right. With that being said, we will move on to the next item.
Thank you. At B is reports information only, and at 1 is the Commission on the Status of Women's 2012 Master Calendar of Events. This is the regular calendar that comes back. If there's any revisions to be made, we can do that at this time.
It's going to be a busy month.
Yes.
Okay, are there any changes to the calendar? All right, with that being said, there are no changes to the calendar, so we will move on to the next item.
Thank you. At 2 is update regarding Domestic Violence Awareness Month activities. And Chair Miller, provide a brief report for the Commission.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Over the past couple of months, the Commission has been organizing DVAM activities, Domestic Violence Awareness Month activities, for the month of October. The first one, which will be tomorrow evening, October 2nd at 6 p.m., is the proclamation that the Commission will receive from the Mayor and City Council to designate October 2012 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Glendale. This proclamation will be presented at that time. The Chair will accept the resolution on behalf of the Commission, and any commissioners that are available are welcome to attend. And at that time, the Commission can also announce its other upcoming events for DVAM. One of which being the Candlelight Vigil, which will take place Thursday, October 18th at the YWCA in Glendale from 6 to 7 p.m. in their ballroom. This is the annual Candlelight Vigil that is held in memory of victims of domestic violence, survivors and those who have lost their lives. This will be a brief yet moving celebration of those survivors and a chance to honor the victims. And we'll have a speaker, a survivor, a very brief video by Avon, and representatives from the Commission, the Y, and the Glendale Police Department there to speak. And the flyer for that has been will get distributed this month, this week actually. The next is the film screening that the Commission is partnering to do with the Armenian Relief Society of Western USA. The film Loves Me, Loves Me Not, Thursday, October 25 at 6 p.m. at the auditorium of the Glendale Central Library. The film was created in response to domestic violence, and it will be followed by a question and answer session with a panel of professionals representing various backgrounds within DV. We will have representatives from the Glendale Police Department and the Armenian Relief Society's Child, Youth, and Family Guidance Center, and we're also working on confirming a couple other speakers for that panel. And last but not least, we have the Teen Domestic Violence Palm Cards. And as you recall, at the last regular meeting, the Commission decided to allow a committee to redesign the palm cards from 2011 containing information on teen dating violence, and to finalize this design with staff. The committee has met to present its feedback, and the graphics division staff is currently working on preparing the palm cards for final approval from the committee. And once these are finalized and printed, the palm cards will be distributed to high school students in Glendale, in the private schools in Glendale, and the Glendale Unified School District high schools. That concludes the report. If there's any questions.
Thank you. And when do we expect these palm cards? What's the estimated time frame?
The goal is to have them out distributed in October. And it would just depend on how many revisions from, once graphics presents that palm card, to see how quickly we can get it finalized and printed out. The printing turnaround time should be within the same week.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Devine.
Is the Commission going to see those palm cards before they're created and printed, and don't we have to give
Commissioner Miller, at the last meeting, there was approval to allow the committee to decide what the design would be and to just finalize it and to print it out. Certainly, the staff will share the palm cards with the commission, but the action that was taken the last meeting was to allow that committee to finalize the design and to move forward from there.
And just in terms of the carry-through from the process of our work last month, I will let you know that the committee, Commissioner Tastian and student ex officio Yegian, have done a very fine job of taking into consideration all of the feedback of the commission and working with Ms. Baboumian to include some of the comments that came up. I think, Commissioner Devine, one of the things you brought up was to include the break the cycle, the listening, that since that's part of their campaign, and we did get that word on a bracelet. And so I know that all of those comments that you provided have gone forward to our city staff, and we're excited to see where they go. Okay. So is there any motion that you need on these items? Okay, great. It's nice to know that we've come to some conclusion on a lot of the work on these things from the past 2 months. All right. With that being said, do you have any comments, Commissioner Byrne?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, we do hope that the city of Glendale pays attention and looks at the calendar and all the series of events that we have lined up this year to really honor women who have suffered from any sort of domestic violence, women, men, and their families, and to really come together with us as a community in the various events that we have so that we can continue to raise awareness. With that being said, next item, Ms. Baboumian.
At 6 is Commissioner and staff comments.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes, I have a couple of comments. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Greg and John Krikorian for a wonderful Business Life Luncheon. It was a huge success. There were almost 400 people there in attendance watching the Women of Excellence receive their awards. The workshops were great and well received, and so we look forward to next year. And thanks to all of the women and men who attended the luncheon. I wanted to announce that on October 10th is the Firemen's Awards Luncheon. It's at the Hilton, 11:30 to 1:30. And if you're interested in tickets, call 548-4021. This is, and the other thing I wanted to mention, this is really important, I think. At the last Police Foundation board meeting, Detective Rock was there, and he informed the board that the Commission's CPR grant, our Commission Project Rescue Grant, was used it was like a week ago, to house a woman who had been kidnapped by her husband. He was an early release, an early parolee, and he kidnapped her at knife point. She managed to jump from the car, and they feel that that saved her life, that he probably would have killed her. But in the process, or after the arrest was made of him, the officers used our CPR grant to house this woman, a young woman, for a few days. And they were very grateful to the Commission for that grant and for the ability to help this woman in need. So I was really proud of that, and being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it was very apropos to hear this. So that's the latest on the Police Foundation and Captain Rock. Also this month is Bullying Prevention Awareness Month, and bullying, affects millions of children every year. It's humiliating, it's devastating, and its effects are horrendous. So please, I'm asking parents, mothers, grandmothers, aunts, whoever is listening today, to be sure to talk to your children about being kind to each other, and let's try to stop bullying, because it changes our whole society and creates a dark side. So during Bullying Prevention Awareness Month. Please talk to your kids. On a happier note, Seroptimus International is having a wine tasting party, and this is going to be for their service grants and their service programs. We give pajamas to domestic violence survivors. We give grants to young girls for engineering school, etc. So it's going to be on Wednesday, October the 17th at 5:30 at the Wine Cave on Honolulu in Montrose. It's only $25 a person, and there are going to be hors d'oeuvres and some wonderful wines to taste. If you're interested, please email jlewis at Lewis at glendale.edu, education short. So it's jlewis at glendale.edu, or call a Seroptimist. I'm sure you all know one. 5:30 on October 17th. On October 27th is the Glendale Healthy Kids fundraiser, the Grand Masquerade. If you're interested, please call Glendale Healthy Kids for reservations at 818-548-7931. The funds from this fundraiser will go to provide health care, dental care, also psychological help to uninsured and underinsured children in our school system. So that is an important event today. Tonight and tomorrow night on PBS, they will be presenting a documentary narrated by Susan Sarandon, and it's Women Make Up Half the Sky. And what it is women turning oppression and abuse into opportunity, and these around the world. These are cases of women who are abused, tortured, and somehow through help from other agencies manage to pick themselves up and turn oppression into opportunity. It's tonight and tomorrow night. If you can catch that, it should be a really great documentary. And my final comment is, the next time we meet with Ms. Baboumian, she will be Mrs. Powers, and I just want to wish her the most beautiful day and look forward to that transition in your life. Okay, please. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Vote for Carl.
Unfair.
Too bad.
Well, I want to thank both commissioners and our staff for coming in for this special meeting. I have a few announcements. I want to first off thank our speakers who came in to speak to us about the very important topic of elder abuse. Because of that, I am going to restate the number one more time, 877-477-3646. This is an anonymous phone for you to line for you to call into if you suspect anyone of elder abuse. I also want to thank our speakers from the League of Women Voters. If I may just add a personal comment on this, having just come off a wonderful trip to Washington, D.C., where we were advocating for occupational therapy on Capitol Hill, I must tell you there was one morning, Washington, D.C. excites me no matter what time of year it is, and it makes me so proud to be an American, and we have such a great country. But walking around those monuments, it really becomes clear every year that I go back, it becomes clear once again. I was with so many different, diverse and different people of different cultures who were just Americans, and we were all proud to be in these different locations together. I think I became the photographer on Capitol Hill for all sorts of people and the monuments. But that being said, I tell you that, one, to tell you about my own excitement, but more importantly, to really, really encourage you to exercise your right to vote and to really take that step. So with that being said, I'm only going to give one of the websites because I imagine the 3 or 4 that were given, you could find them. For the League of Women Voters, the general information on all the election can be found at cavotes.org, cavotes.org, and then you could also put into your search engine the League of Women Voters, Burbank, Glendale. I also wanted to let anyone who is over the age of 55 who will be in the Glendale City tomorrow at the Adult Rec Center to know that it will be 2-part of our flu shot clinic for seniors, and that is free to Live Well members from 9 to noon. So if you would like to come and get your flu shot, please do. On October 3rd, this is one that I'm really proud to be a part of the planning committee, and that is, it's a joint workshop that is being provided by the Office of State Senator Carol Liu, as well as the Earthquake Country Alliance folks and our own disaster preparedness people at Glendale Adventist. This is a seminar entitled, Are You Ready for the Next Big One? And we are going to help. The experts that we're bringing are an unbelievable group of experts. They are the ones that you see on television whenever there is an event from Cal State Los Angeles, and we are really excited to have them, as well as to provide the senior population with tips and things to put in their own earthquake kit. A couple of other things. Specifically very proud to be part of the Army of Pink under the leadership of Commissioner Devine and the rest of the great men in the city of Glendale that have stood up and said they're going to help us raise awareness. And also our domestic violence events. We have a lot going on this month. This month, specifically with the story that Commissioner Devine spoke about with the CPR grant, when I received that email, I literally, looking into my calendar, looking into my computer, I got chills just knowing that the work that we're doing as a commission and the monies that we set aside have helped to save somebody's life, and that we are a strong collaborator with our Glendale Police. So that's a very good use of our work together. There'll be more information about the other things that we provide at any of our domestic violence events. And let's see. With that said, I wish you all a happy fall, and I thank you for joining us. And at this point, the meeting is adjourned at 2:33. Do I need a motion to adjourn? Let's have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
At this point, the Commission on the Status of Women October meeting is adjourned at 2:33 p.m.